everybody, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Ryan. Today is Tuesday, March 12th. I am officially in the third trimester. If you've never watched my channel before, I had 4 losses before this pregnancy. So today I am 28 weeks and 3 days. This video is for weeks 26 through 28. It's my pregnancy update. For week 26, I had my appointment with my specialist. So I was 25 plus 4 that day. The baby's heartbeat was 141. My blood pressure, which they have been a little concerned about, went up a little bit from the last visit. It was 98/64, so that's a little bit better. They did an ultrasound on me. The baby's head is still down, and the baby weighs 1 pound and 14 ounces, which is 46th percentile. So if you watch my last video, this baby is measuring smaller than my last child. Walter was a big baby. He was always measuring a couple weeks ahead, and my due date, they almost changed because he was so big. So the estimated due date for this baby, based on like the ultrasound measurements, is 2 days after my actual due date. So we don't know the sex of the baby, but that's like the only thing that's making me think it might be a girl. Because it's so much smaller, but I know every baby's different, so we'll just have to see. I will attach an ultrasound picture at the end of the video. They only printed out the 3D pictures. So I talked to my specialist about how tired I am and short of breath. I can't really make it up my stairs without trying to catch my breath, or sometimes I'll just even be sitting down and be short of breath. It's a lot worse than with my other pregnancies. And I take naps sometimes during the day. I'm not a nap taker. So when I started taking naps with this pregnancy, I thought maybe it was due to my age. But as far as my motivation and just being so exhausted, like I have to make myself get up and go, excuse me, go outside for a walk. I did walk. I keep track of how much I walk just because if I write it down, it just makes me feel better to see it that I actually am doing some exercise. So I walked twice on week 26. Which is pretty good because most of the time I barely have the energy. I barely have the energy to even get out of bed. So I talked to my specialist about the exhaustion and barely sleeping, my shortness of breath. She said that it doesn't sound like normal pregnancy symptoms. And I told her that at my last OB appointment, they drew my CBC. They were supposed to draw my iron levels, and I know the CBC has the red blood cells and the hemoglobin and all of that in it, but I didn't see my ferritin levels on there. And when I talked to the nurse about this, she said that because my hemoglobin was okay, that there was no need to check my iron, or it's also called, ferritin levels. So I told my specialist this, and she said, well, since you're so tired and short of breath and no energy, let's go ahead and check your ferritin levels. So they did that at that appointment, and they also checked my thyroid again, which was low in my first trimester, but the doctor said that that was normal with pregnancy. Sometimes it gets lower. So on 26 plus 3, I finally got the results from my ferritin levels, and lo and behold, they were not where they're supposed to be. And I will attach that. So my ferritin level, let me look it up here, was an 8. And on this, the normal range says 26 to 246. So the nurse messaged me on my app and said, your ferritin level is low and this is consistent with iron deficient anemia. And in my last video, I listed several of the symptoms from anemia, and they included, you know, weakness, fatigue, shortness of breath, which explains why I feel so run down. So it felt good to actually see that instead of just wondering why I'm feeling the way that I am. And I got a little upset because my regular OB didn't feel the need to draw my ferritin level just because my hemoglobin was okay. But I advocated for myself and I knew something wasn't right, so I got my answer and I'm really happy about that. So they told me to start taking 325 milligrams of ferrous sulfate twice a day. I started that on that day, 26 plus 3, I believe. So it's been exactly 2 weeks today that I've been taking the iron. I don't feel it has kicked in yet. I'm not really sure how long it takes to kick in. I'm still laying in bed, tired, not really much motivation. Another symptom of iron deficient anemia is trouble sleeping. And I still have a lot of trouble sleeping. I'll get up a few times in the middle of the night to use the restroom, toss and turn all night because I can't get comfortable. And I'll wake up for whatever random reason and lay there for almost an hour, sometimes 2 hours, trying to go back to sleep just because my mind is, I don't know, there's just, and I know that sleeping in pregnancy is hard anyway, but this is worse than what it was with any of my other pregnancies. And I'm only 28 weeks. So, and I know it gets more and more uncomfortable, you know, towards the end, which is expected. But I am having a lot of trouble sleeping, which also adds to my exhaustion and tiredness. So, let's move on to week 27. I walked 3 times this week. Very happy about that. Since I started on the iron pills, I changed my diet up. I got a fiber cereal that I eat every morning, and then I got spinach greens. So I eat a spinach salad every day for lunch because iron causes major constipation. And I do not want that issue. I had that issue at the beginning of my pregnancy, and I was doing the Miralax. Well, I was able to stop that. But now that I'm taking the iron pills, I have to make sure that I get enough fiber in my diet to not get constipated, because nobody wants to have another thing wrong with them while they're pregnant. Pregnancy is hard enough. You don't want to be constipated. That is just, it's just terrible. So I did have a couple of headaches this week. Excuse me, I'm short of breath. So a thing that started in week 27 was I was getting crampy, like a little light cramping. And if you've ever been pregnant before and had contractions, then you know that your early contractions feel like period cramps. And these cramps felt like very, very early contractions. So I started to get really worried and scared, because I have read that when you are anemic because of your iron, that you can have premature labor. It causes low birth weight. So You know, my mind always goes to the worst places, and I try not to, but when you've had losses, I'm sure you guys know that you just automatically think the worst. So when I was having these cramps, and it's not Braxton Hicks. I know it's not that, because I've had those before, and this was something different. This was, you know, and it could have been just regular cramping, but it felt like very, very early contractions. And I've been having them every 2 or 3 days, mostly at night. A few days ago, I did have some cramping in the morning when I was laying in bed. So for a few days there when that started, I started to get really scared, thinking really bad things. But I try to stay positive as much as I can, you know, because I know worrying doesn't help pregnancy, and stress is not good for me. So now that I'm 28 weeks, it makes me feel, the further along I get, the better I feel, because that will make the pregnancy more viable and the baby more likely to be okay. So now that I'm in my 3rd trimester, I'm feeling, you know, more positive about this pregnancy. And I think that anybody, the further along they get, the better they feel. And plus, the baby is super active. I have, with all of my other pregnancies, my successful pregnancies, never had the baby be so active. I can feel, it's almost like the baby is doing jumping jacks or like somersaults in my belly. I can feel it on one side and the other at the same time, and it's just like, with my other kids, when they moved, it was more like just like a rolling, like you could feel the baby move, and you would feel like this on the inside of my belly, but this baby is just like super active. So that is also, you know, very reassuring. So I have a lot of people comment about how scared and stressed and worried they are, and I get it. I totally understand, because when you've experienced loss, or even if it's your first pregnancy, you're gonna be scared, and the only thing that you can do is really just take it one day at a time, which is what I try to do. Okay, so week 28, I walked 2 times this week. Still feeling very tired, and I have to make myself get up and go walk. This is a different thing this pregnancy as well. I wrote down on 27 plus 3, I started leaking colostrum, which is super early compared to my other pregnancies. I think the other pregnancies, it was maybe like a few weeks before I delivered that I started leaking a little bit, but 27 plus 3, I was really shocked when I saw, you know, the colostrum leaking out. And in week 28, I started getting really emotional again. I think a couple of days last week, I probably cried maybe 7 or 8 times throughout the day, each day. And sometimes it was like when I was watching TV and something sad would come on, I would start bawling my eyes out. And then other times throughout the day, it was just, I don't know. I just felt overwhelmed, and I mean, emotions run high when you're pregnant, of course, because of your hormones, but these few days were a lot, but I did get through them. Week 28, I was, of course, like I said, the cramping happened every couple of days. On 27 plus 3, I had my appointment with my regular OB. The heartbeat was 142 and my blood pressure was 95/53, so that's pretty good. They drew another CBC like they did last time, and I will attach the results. Remember how I told you that at my last regular OB appointment, they drew a CBC, and they said that because my hemoglobin was fine, that had nothing to worry about. Well, come to find out, my hemoglobin is now low. So And I know that ties into the ferritin levels. So my red blood cells are low, hemoglobin and hematocrit were all low, and ferritin. And it bothered me when they called me. They said, you need to start on iron twice a day. And I said, well, I've already started doing that. And they still didn't seem concerned, even though at the appointment a month before that, they said my hemoglobin wasn't low, so there's nothing to worry about. Well, now my hemoglobin is low and they still don't act that concerned. I don't like feeling so run down. I have 4 children to take care of, and I also worry about this baby coming early because all these levels are super low. My blood pressure is low. I feel weak when I wake up. I'm tired. Can't sleep. So I worry about all these bad things happening, and I just wish that they seemed a little bit more concerned about it. So at my next appointment with my specialist, I'm going to ask her about the hemoglobin, or him, whoever I see. There's a couple different specialists there at the maternal fetal medicine office. I'm going to ask them about my hemoglobin. They seem to be a little bit more in tune with what's going on with me. Like at my regular OB, I don't know. I mean, they're great. I love my doctor, but I just sometimes worry they're not thinking about it as much as they should. Anyway. Okay, I also had my 1 hour glucose at that appointment done, and I passed that, so I was happy that I didn't have to take the 3 hour. Weight gain. I gained 1 pound in week 26, 2 in week 27, and 2 more in week 28. I talked to my doctor again about my weight gain, and she said it was completely fine. I'm doing great. You know, I'm healthy. Everything looks great. So I gained 5 pounds in 3 weeks. That's not normal for me. I'm gaining weight a lot quicker with this pregnancy than my other ones. But I'm sure that me not being as active as I want to be has something to do with that. But I am eating healthy. I'm eating healthier now than, gosh, maybe ever. I don't know. So I'm eating healthy. I'm trying to walk when I have the energy. So there's really not much else I can do about it. You know, I just want to, I think I've said this before, but explain that my weight gain is important to me, not because of how I look. It has everything to do with how I feel physically and how I'm going to feel when I have to deliver this baby. I want to feel good, you know. I don't want to feel like, I just want to feel good physically and not have gained way too much weight. Let's get a bum shot. So I said today I'm 28 plus 3. Well, let's see this is what I look like with my sweater on. And then ooh, I'm getting a little hot. Okay. My next appointments with my specialist, my maternal fetal medicine, is on March 20th, which is next week, next Wednesday. They're going to do another growth scan. And I know I just went to my OB, but now that I am past 28 weeks, they want me to come in every 2 weeks now. So my regular OB appointment is also on the 20th after my growth scan. I think that is about it for this video. I am super excited about everyone who has messaged me and said that they're pregnant. I've been getting a lot more of those messages lately, and it makes me super happy. And just know that I'm praying for everyone. I have my list of names of everybody that I know and talk to and who is trying to get pregnant, or, you know, grieving from a loss, who just found out they're pregnant or who's almost there. You know, we can do this, guys. We just take it one day at a time, and there is hope, okay? So I will see you guys in a few weeks, and take care.